So I titled this, They Are the Gatekeepers. Now, I was wondering to myself about that last upload if I should take that down, if I was too harsh. And the last about is the one that's titled Why the what was it? I forgot what I titled it exactly, but it was Why the Collective of Black Women Are Evil. And I kind of went into detail of it's not even why I feel that way. It's why it's really the truth. It's not even about how I feel, because this is not about any bitterness coming from any experience in my life. Whatever experience I had in my life, I've learned to deal with that in a way that I'm not holding on to things, right? So when I say the collective of Black women are evil, specifically United States of America, because that's my experience is not living in Africa. My experience is not in India. My experience is not in Japan or wherever other Black people are. My experience is United States of America, and so that's just what I speak on. And I talked about the reasons why I said this, because Black women are gatekeepers. And that's why I titled that this right now. Black women are gatekeepers. You can't. Let me tell you something. When I first started my channel, well, not when I first started, when I first really started to upload stuff, not when I first started, because I started the channel like around 2012, 2013, something like that. But I wasn't uploading videos. I was just, listening to other videos. I wasn't uploading anything. I didn't really start uploading anything until like 2017. And that channel was dedicated to exposing Black women who are gatekeepers. It was not to talk about a bunch of Black men. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not because I didn't see anything wrong with Black men. It's because it's other women who were online years before I started speaking on YouTube. There were other women who were already speaking up. And I knew I'm not, it's nothing else that I can say that they're not already saying. So it's no need of me starting a channel to talk about Black men and their behavior when it's nothing that I'm going to say that these other ladies are not saying. And then to be quite honest with you, it's like redundant. You're repeating the same thing over and over again, trying to get Black women to get it, and you're trying to figure out, after you don't spoke for 5 years, talking about the same thing, why don't Black women get it? Why can't Black women see how these Black men are? You know why? Because they're evil. And another reason why they're evil is because they're gatekeepers. Black women are gatekeepers. Now, you have a lot of Black women who have very, very low self-esteem. That's one thing. And I can say that's evil too, but to have low self-esteem because of your experience in life, and sometimes when you have extremely low self-esteem, when you have extremely low self-esteem, that starts from when you're a baby. That's not something that happened as you're an adult. That is something that starts from the home. A lot of Black women who suffer from this low self-esteem, it starts with the home. So I don't want to call just having low self-esteem like the women who continue to run behind Chris Brown, even though he don't like dark-skinned women and he don't even like you in his clubs, but you have dark-skinned women that will pay $1,000 to take a picture with him. Okay, that's extremely low self-esteem. I mean, that could be called evil, but that's not what I'm talking about right there. I'm not talking about somebody with just a little flaw like that. Like, I'm talking about literally gatekeepers. I'm talking about Black women who will do everything possible to make sure other Black women do not divest from the community. Okay? You have those are the gatekeepers I'm talking about, the gatekeepers. Okay? And another thing I was talking about, a lot of my commentary was about a lot of college educated women. And I'm not against the college education because I have one too. I'm not against that. My point is that it was so easy to look at Black women from the hood and call her all kinds of names. And it's a lot I can say, that the same thing, she's a product of her environment. And it's only so much that you can judge her if she's a product of her environment. It's only so much you can do to judge her. She don't know that what she's doing is wrong. She's a product of her environment. I mostly got on the educated black women who were very accomplished, who coddled black men. They made all kinds of excuses for black men. As one person called it, they were intellectually dishonest. I was getting on the intellectually dishonest black women. Not the woman who just ignorant, who just don't know they ignorant, they don't know any better, they like whatever. They just, you know. Not those. I'm talking about the ones who know better and they're intellectually dishonest. But they gatekeep the black community. They know everything that's going on. They know it's a problem. They don't care. Their job is to make sure that the black man stays protected no matter what he does. And black women who are trying to leave, they do everything to make sure black women don't leave or don't taste any kind of freedom. I was talking about those kind of women. And it's a lot of black women in the black community that are like that. And a lot of them are college educated, accomplished women who are lawyers, who are mayors, who are the governor, or who I'm talking about accomplished black women. Okay. But also I want to talk about when you talk about a lot of these black men committing crimes in the community, killing unaliving children and stuff like that, and all the drive-by shootings and all the drug dealing and stuff, you have to look at who gave birth to them. You're going to have to question that womb. Now, I can see sometimes you can't control how a child turns out. You can train that person up in the way that they should go. And for the most part, it's up to them to and I literally mean the way that they should go. Okay? Because the way that's right to you might not be the way that they should go. Most of the time when somebody trains a child up in the way that they should go, most of the time they're not drug dealers, they're not gang bangers. A lot of times with these gang bangers and drug dealers, you would find that even though the mother is around, she's probably got another man up in her house, staying up in there for free, eating up all the food, all the hog maws. So let me stop. Or she probably strung out or whatever other stuff. But she's physically present, but she's not present emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. She's not present. So she's just as absent as the absentee father. I mean, her being physically present doesn't mean anything if she's not really nourishing, providing any kind of nurturing or nourishment for the child. She might as well just be as absent as the father. Okay? And most of the time, you're not going to see a person who really trains their child up in the way they should go. Now, that person might be problematic. They might have their stuff going on with them. But more than likely, they're not going to be drug dealers and gangbangers. More than likely, that's not going to happen. Okay? So when you look at the ridiculous crime rates that's just out of control, especially in underprivileged communities, a lot of the great violence and a lot of that stuff, you're going to have to look at the womb. And a lot of times with these men, what I would see to come from these mothers when these guys commit these crimes, and a lot of times the mothers would defend their sons. So it's really more than you look at the black men, you're going to have to look at the black women that gave birth to those black men, okay? And because a lot of those black women make excuses for their sons, okay? You know, if it was not for the black woman's womb, those guys would not be here. So it's really important to look at who gave birth to these men. It's really important to look at who gave birth to them, who's giving them life. They would not be here if it had not been for that womb. So let's look into that womb a lot closer. Let's look into the wombs that keep giving birth to these men that's shooting up the neighborhoods. What is she doing? What's going on in the house? Okay. And so I just say it's really good to take a closer look at the black women. Because the black men, a lot of them could be problematic. But like I said, it's nothing that I could have said that would have been any different from so many of the other women that were already on YouTube before I even started talking. It was a few. It was really probably more, little more than a handful, because this was like in 2017. It might have been a little more than a handful that was speaking up. But like I said, it was nothing that I was going to say that was going to be different, and it was nothing that I could have said that tried to persuade Black women to get away from the toxicity. It's nothing that I could have said because I was paying attention. All the years I would look at the Black women that were speaking up on YouTube, I was wondering, why were Black women so hard headed? Why are they not getting the message? I can see if you're still attracted to Black men. I get that. I'm not saying that. Now, some people tell you not to be attracted to Black men. I'm not one to tell you who you're supposed to be attracted to. Okay, but why would Black women see men like Tommy Sotomayor and men like Kevin Samuels and men like all these other guys and continue to support them and take up for them as if they just wasn't getting the message? And it just came to me, it's because they are the problem. You can have women blue and good talking to their blue in their face, trying to warn Black women against some of these men, but you're going to have to look at Black women. You're gonna have to look at the Black women, and some Black women, like I say, they need they're struggling from severe lack of self-love. Maybe they're not a gatekeeper. Maybe they just struggle from a severe lack of self-love. But I wouldn't necessarily really call them. That could cause you to be evil, but you hurt yourself more than you hurt anybody else, but by not having self-love. But really, let me tell you something. Even a person who think they have self-love, if they going to attack somebody else and hurt somebody else, they have self-hate. They don't see it that way, because this is an ego-driven world, and you feel like because you look a certain way and because you have certain standards, you have self-love, but then it's okay till you go and treat somebody else badly, as if you're not doing that to yourself. Every time you treat somebody else bad, you do it to yourself. But because it's an ego-driven world, that's not how they see it. They don't see themselves as one. They see themselves as an individual. They don't know that when they hurt somebody else, they hurt themselves. That's why the Bible say, love the neighbor as yourself, because you are your neighbor. You are one. You are one. We have individual units of consciousness. We have individual personalities, but we're one. And so when you hurt somebody else, you hurt yourself. And so when you do that, I don't care how cute you make yourself look. I don't care how much you get the bag. I don't care how much you exercise, eat right, whatever you do. That on the outside, it appears that you have self-love because you look put together. But if you treat somebody else badly, it's really self-hate. It's just not as obvious, because in the ego-driven world, you're not looking at the spirit. You're looking at the outside. But anyway, getting back to it. So I say that to say, that I'm not necessarily talking about women who just have, who clearly just have self-hate, that continue to run behind the person and chase behind the person. Yeah, that's some severe lack of self-esteem. But a lot of times that comes from the household. Okay, that comes from their mother putting them down, calling them names, and the father, if they might not have been there, might have been there. They could have been getting molested over and over again, and they're told it was their fault, told they were being fast, even though, they got molested by a 30-year-old man and they were only 5, but the mother decided to call her fast and still chase behind this man. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actual gatekeepers. Okay, and a lot of Black women are gatekeepers. Tommy Sotomayor, I think it was years ago. I can't remember. It was in the 2010s. I can't remember the exact year, but it was in the 2010s when Tommy Sotomayor, I think, went to a Sonetta event, and some Black man came and decked him in his face, and a black woman came to the rescue for Tommy Sotomayor, willing to take a bullet for him. Wasn't no other Black man about to go and defend Tommy Sotomayor. See, Black women always talking about how they unprotected. You had a black man that went to deck Tommy Sotomayor, sock him right in his face. And a Black woman came to the rescue to stop Tommy Sotomayor from getting that butt whipping. from that black man that black women always talk about they're not protected by. Okay? That's the gatekeeper I'm talking about right there. That right there is a gatekeeper. She wanted to protect Tommy Sotomayor from black men, from other black men that was tired of his rhetoric. This black woman went to protect him. No other black man stood up for Tommy Sotomayor. They was standing back, letting him take that butt whooping. The black woman went to protect him. She's a gatekeeper. She's a gatekeeper. That's what I'm talking about right there. She's a gatekeeper. But anyway, so I just want to just go into a little detail about what I'm saying, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm bashing. But if you're going to talk about black men, which I completely understand, I don't disagree with I don't disagree with most of the things other women say on YouTube. But we're going to have to take a good look at the black woman. You're going to have to take a good look at the wombs that black men come from. And because the black community refuses to see that, and now you got Donald Trump in office, that's probably going to take care of that problem. You know, Donald Trump sent the National Guard out to Memphis. And do you know it was a black single mother? She said she went on TikTok to thank Donald Trump because it was the first time that she was ever able to take her kids outside and play in peace. It takes Donald Trump, what you want to call him racist. I don't care if he is, he might be. I don't care. I don't care. Why do I care if he's racist? So what? I don't care if he's as racist as they get. I do not care. Why do I care? So if people want to complain about him being so racist, who was the best president then? Who was really good? Since everybody want to talk about how racist he is, was Biden any better? Some people might argue and say Obama was better. I mean, you know, I guess you might be half on that. Was George Bush better? Was Bill Clinton better? Who was better? If you want to get all stuck on how racist Donald Trump is, who was better? Who was the best president? Because more than likely it's before most of us was even born. It was before most of us was even born. You might have had to be born around the 60s and the 50s to might know who to be if there was a good president. Because Generation X that was born in the 70s might not know who the best president was. I don't think we have experienced in our lifetime to Generation X born after year 1970s. I don't think we really experienced a good president. I don't think we did. So I don't understand all this hype about hopping on Donald Trump about his racism. Okay, but yeah. So Donald Trump is handling that problem because, like, I listened to one lady talk about how a lot of these ladies allow their sons to do anything, like, and you have other mothers who take their children to the same school that some of these gangbangers go to, and then you have some mothers that complain about some of these other children and how they might be raising these children, and then they gotta take their children and go to school with these other children. And you have these other women that talk about, you don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me what to do with my womb, and you don't tell me you don't tell me. Oh, no, you're right. Okay, yeah. But guess who's going to make the decision for you? Donald Trump. He brought the National Guard out to Memphis, Tennessee. You have black women, well, I only seen one black woman, that went online and thanked Donald Trump because it was her first time that she was able to take her children out in peace. Now, he talked about sending the National Guard to Chicago. If that happened, I don't know. And yeah, he might gentrify the area. I don't know. So what? I don't care. Yeah, he might gentrify. It might look like it's something good now, but it might get gentrified. But you know what? You spent all that time putting up with all that crime, knowing these guys were up shooting up the neighborhoods, and you didn't care. So I don't care that it's gentrified. I do not care. Because you know why? Because most of the people that don't live in the hood, that wants to get away from the hood, they live in white communities anyway. And if it's not white communities, it's mixed communities, okay? But they're certainly not in black communities. If they are in the black community, it's more of a middle to upper class community, okay? Like areas in Baldwin Hills. I mean, I just, because I lived in Los Angeles, and I just know Los Angeles and stuff like that. Even though I'm from the South, but I grew up in Tuskegee in the South. Tuskegee is all black, okay? But or you might have upper class. I lived in Cleveland, Ohio. If you have black people that live in black communities, it's going to be the upper class where there is not, because it's not, it's, in upper class black communities, you don't have crime like that. You have more people, they're more privileged. You don't have crime like that. It's in the underprivileged communities where you have all that crime. And so if Donald Trump bring out his National Guard and okay, whatever, and gentrify the area, I don't care. Why did you sit there and look at these guys commit all that crime? You sat there and did not, you might have cared, but you didn't do nothing about it. So don't get mad that somebody decide to do something about it, and in the process, he might just gentrify the doggone area too. Because at the end of the day, who does the United States really belong to? I don't care who was here first. I don't care if the indigenous was here first, because the indigenous made a deal with the devil. So who does the United States of America really belong to? He got a right to do whatever the heck he want to do. If they feel like this is their land, they don't have to put up with all that doggone shooting and crazy. And I don't care what a white man does, such as, I don't care. Who did the indigenous, listen, there were deals made between the indigenous and the so-called white man. And maybe the indigenous, maybe they didn't know what they were doing, but the white man sure knew what he was doing. And now you got this as a result. So now this is kind of his land. And if he decided to take thugs off the street, however that may be, and not pay attention to the Ku Klux Klan, that's his business. Okay? Now, anybody who have a problem with it, you're going to have to take the land back from him. Or, you're going to have to change the whole system. What I mean is you're going to have to overturn the whole system. Okay? But anyway, with that being said, that's it, and I'll talk later.